Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Legend of Korra Book 3 Change episode commentary. This one's going to be for K303, episode 3 of Book 3 Change, which is called The Earth Queen, obviously. Now, to set up your copy of the episode so you're kind of synced up with my commentary track, what you have to do is basically have your episode ready to press play at the very start of the episode, including the intro. So have it ready to go, so when you hit play, you'll hear Tenzin say, Earth, Kyoshi will be on screen, and include basically the whole intro to the episode. So have that ready to go. I'm going to stop speaking in a minute and pause for a moment, and then when I come back from that pause and start speaking again, the second you hear me speaking, hit play and you'll be synced up with my commentary track. So, I'm going to stop speaking now. Okay, so here we are with K303, The Earth Queen, episode 3 of Book 3 Change. So, obviously, the Earth Queen, obvious title for the episode, given that we meet the new Earth Queen. Obviously, we're used to an Avatar having King Kwai as our Earth King, and we know about a couple of the previous Earth Kings as well. But this is the first time we've seen an Earth Queen, and the obvious idea for this episode is that you show off the kind of inept leader, the kind of leader who's abusing her position, and it presents this concept that the Red Lotus are right in many ways about many of the world leaders, in that, like, Raiko, as we've seen him in the previous 2 episodes in this book, plus Raiko in book 2, is not a very good world leader in terms of how he treats Korra and the world in general and stuff like that. So seeing the Earth Queen is very interesting, because King Kwai gradually developed into a pretty good leader, and obviously Hu Ting is not the best, but we see Kai as a natural airbender here, easily defeating Bumi despite arguably having more training than Kai at bending at this point in time, despite the Kai only recently joining. But yeah, further setup for Kai Nora's relationship, Kai and Jinora. And yeah, Kai's still a bit of a thief here, as we see, and this is actually a pretty important episode for Kai's character arc, and that's an interesting thing to say, that just this minor character who comes in this book actually has a decent character arc in this book, and that is obviously learning to trust these people and not just fend for himself. It's really well done, actually, character arc, just this idea that he can't just be on his own and stuff like that. It's kind of like what they're doing, I suppose, with Ezra in the new Star Wars Rebels show. It's a pretty similar character arc. But yeah, we get to see Ba Sing Se again, and it's always amazing coming into the city, but this time, rather than the epic kind of feel of the music, it's more kind of sad, because you still see that despite all the progress and stuff like that, there's a bit more technology around the place. The lower rings are still worse off, the middle rings not much better, and it's still the rich people living in the kind of central rings of the city around the palace. And you really kind of wonder, like, with the war over and the world at peace for such a long time, why hasn't this sort of thing changed? Like, and it presents the idea, like, is it kind of correct, like the Red Lotus are saying, like, does the world not need its world leaders anymore? Should they be elected? Should the people, or as kind of Zahir's philosophy is, should the people just be allowed to rule themselves, kind of thing? And everyone's just amazed by this. Lots of airships around the place. It's just interesting to see all this technology in this location that we so heavily kind of see of as kind of traditional, because, you know, Ba Sing Se, the Dai Li, are this kind of people that protect the kind of culture of Ba Sing Se. That's the role of the Dai Li. So it's not the most technologically advanced place in the world, because they try and keep that culture. And yeah, another thing about the Queen, obviously King Kwai, her father, loved animals. He had his own pet, regular bear, and suddenly we find out that the new Queen hates animals and is in fact allergic to them, apparently. And yeah, Grand Secretariat Gon here, spelled G-U-N, Gun, very interesting, and straight away you get that she's a pretty picky person, and, you know, don't eat around her. Korra doesn't like the rules, a little bit like Toph didn't like the rules being in Ba Sing Se. And here's the hint at what Kai is going to do once again. Just this, again, his character arc just being that, you know, he's kind of out for himself, even though he's with this group, and this group wants to kind of create a better life for him, and he sort of wants that, but he can't bring himself to fully trust and allow others to trust him, so he kind of still goes off, tries to steal from other people, again out for himself, a little bit selfish, when in fact he has all these people he can rely on and stuff like that. He doesn't actually need to steal anymore. But yeah, here she is, Earth Queen Hu Ting herself. And straight away we see that she's a very kind of greedy, demanding queen. Just like, as we just saw, all the kind of suffering and poverty in the lower rings of the city, and she's there, you know, two nice turtle ducks, and then she's asking for this stuff to be done all over again, and just in the lap of luxury. You can sort of see a little bit where Prince Wu kind of gets some of that attitude at the start of the book 4 from here, but very different to obviously King Kuei. And yeah, they bring up the thing that happens in the comics, obviously the Promise comics, that being that Aang and Zuko created United Republic from Earth Kingdom land, effectively, which the Fire Nation had taken over at the start of the war, basically, and it was a city that was effectively Fire and Earth Kingdom people living together, and basically what happened was the big conflict of the Promise came about over that, and that Aang was convinced that, you know, the war's over, we should give this land back to the Earth Kingdom people, just relocate the Fire Nation people back to the Fire Nation. But Zuko was kind of eventually convinced to being like, okay, the Fire Nation people live here, even though it's a bad thing in the war, the people actually have homes here. And eventually, like, Katara kind of was the one who eventually came up with the initial idea, just, what if we just let them live together, that we create this place that is a nation upon nations, effectively. Now, it just started out as Earth and Fire, but obviously it gradually progressed over time. That's what we've yet to see. It transformed from being just this place where just two nations are to being a place where all nations can come to. But obviously the Queen wants that back, while her father, King Kuei, actually allowed this to happen eventually. He agreed with Zuko and Aang that this should be allowed to stay as it is. So that presents the idea, and it also comes back in Book 4 as well, this idea that Republic City has stolen land from the Earth Kingdom, quote-unquote, and stuff like that. And Korra just wants the new Airbenders and the Queen's help in finding the new Airbenders. And the Queen just wants rid of her, and we later see that it's for selfish reasons, and that she has got some of the Airbenders herself and is trying to create an army. And she's blatantly lying to Korra here. And then she's getting Korra to do these chores for her, and then is just saying like, oh, we've got some reports from outside of Ba Sing Se about Airbenders, why don't you go off and do that? Completely keeping the ones that are actually in Ba Sing Se to herself. And yeah, the Queen just wants her taxes collected, and yeah, it just presents the whole idea of like, it seems like a fairly like simple task, just like collect the Queen's taxes. Fine, sure, we'll do that. And yeah, it turns out that she's actually been basically extorting money from her own people to fund her kind of luxurious habits in her palace and stuff like that. Like, she's building this whole temple for herself. She's constantly having like gardening work redone and stuff like that while people are suffering. And yeah, Kai stealing money, found out by Mako and Bolin, and this obviously ultimately leads to them finding their family again, which was hinted at in the previous 2 episodes, with Bolin obviously saying stuff like eating with Tenzin and his family, like, it's so great to be around family again, and then he convinced Mako to actually come with them in the last episode by basically saying, what if we know our family lives in Ba Sing Se, what if we encountered them? What will our grandmother think if you're not there? And stuff like that. So that's a pretty nice setup, actually, that they, rather than it just being this completely random thing, there was actually a setup for it happening. But yeah, Kai gives them the slip, gets away, and again, you know, just the fact that these are his friends, these people who eventually kind of stood up for him, and he is airbending at them, trying to escape because of something he did, when, you know, where's he gonna go and stuff like that. It's an interesting idea. He just won't allow himself to trust other people yet. until, as we see in the next like two episodes, basically, this one and the next one, he's put in a bad situation where he can't just do it on his own. He has to rely on the other people around him. Again, nice little character arc for a minor character in the grand scheme of things, but a good minor character, well done. And yeah, obviously he's stolen their money, so they can't get back, so they're stuck in the lower rings of the city, and are basically have gone now, over their whole journey has basically been, they've gone from being effectively in Kai's position, having to almost, as we see in Republic City, hustle, kind of steal, eat off the streets, to forming a life for themselves with pro bending, to eventually becoming friends with the Avatar, and kind of having success that way. That meaning Korra opened up a lot of opportunities for them, and now they're kind of back on the streets because of the situation Kai has put them in. So some very nice stuff going on here. Yeah, lovely background images there of the lower districts of the city. And yeah, Asami and Korra, more scenes together. And again, you know, I keep saying this, but like, I don't really see a lot of Korra-Asami relationship set up throughout these early Book 3 episodes. Like, there's no way that was like set up just because they said a few words to each other. There wasn't anything really to it there. But even as we see later on, them fighting together and stuff like that, it's not really like romantic setup. It's just like they've put these two characters together to show their friendship, and Mike and Brian have even said that in interviews. And just because Brian has kind of come out and said, you know, oh, you guys are misinterpreted because of your hetero lenses and stuff like this, that there is setup when, you know, unless you're trying to just say, just by the fact that they became friends is all the setup that you need for their romantic relationship. I'm fine with that, but I needed more scenes where you actually showed it transitioning from friendship to romance, more than just that blush towards the halfway point of Book 4 and stuff like that. Little moments that, like the other romances have, and now Nickelodeon obviously limited what they could do, but I don't like the fact that their creators are being so defensive about this and not just kind of admitting that, look, we wish we could have done more, we couldn't, rather than trying to say, oh, it's all there, you just have to look at the scenes differently, like when they weren't really presented that way. But yeah, here's, even though they don't know it yet, this is Mako and Bolin meeting their cousin, 2, who's obviously voiced by the guy who voices Michelangelo from the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, which is interesting that they kind of did this a few times with some of the voice actors, that they seem to just have on one show, and they had them play a character in the other one. Like the guy, the Napoleon Dynamite guy who voices Ryu, also voiced a character in Turtles. And yeah, here we go. They start getting introduced to more characters here. And yeah, we find out that their Mako and Bolin's father is named San. And then, yeah, I almost forgot that this was in the episode here, but just the Zuko Tonrock coming to meet Eska and Desna, who are the Northern Water Tribe chiefs, effectively, which is interesting. I suppose it's actually a big thing for just, I suppose, women in the Northern Water Tribe, that clearly something has changed, and either Eska, just through being a strong female character, has just said, look, I'm not just going to let my brother be chief, we're twins, I'm also going to be co-chief, or else there's just no problem with women in the Northern Water Tribe anymore. That's pretty cool, just getting to see all those characters interacting. And yeah, they've all seen his movers, which is a nice reference to Book 2. And yeah, they all think that Mako and Bolin have kind of lived in the lap of luxury in Republic City, but it leads to this really tragic moment, obviously, when they reveal that they were in a gang in the streets and stuff like that, and then what happened to their parents, most of all, the reveal is like, whoa, it's really emotional and really well done. Just seeing that they go from having no family to having a huge family is really good. And here's Grandma Yin, who's a really nice kind of small character who adds a lot of humor actually to the show. That's really nice, and a nice emotional moment. And the question obviously comes, is it now? Yep. where's San and your mother? And they have to reveal that, to reveal that they didn't know what happened, that they lost their parents so many years ago, but just being out of touch, it went wrong, and really emotional moment, just like, whoa, that was deep. You almost didn't expect them to address it, just because, like, we didn't get a flashback episode showing Mako and Bolin's past. That was left for the Republic City Hustle comics, and even that didn't actually show the moment where their parents were killed. Mako just explained it in dialogue to Korra back in book 1. But yeah, here they get the taxes, and yeah, that's a lot of money, like, just for this small town here, just like these huge sacks of money that they're transporting back. So when you see the bandits come, you think, like, okay, are they trying to steal the money? But is this actual taxes? But then you get the scene at the end where it's just like, oh, that they just up the taxes so much to support the Queen's kind of greedy habits and stuff like that. It just adds some layers to it, I'm not going to say that this whole Earth Queen Bossing Say plot is the best one in the book, but it plays its role perfectly well in the book. It gives Asami a nice chance to show her non-bender fighting skills, I suppose, is interesting. And yeah, just see the two girls just demolish these bandits. Really nice scene. Yeah, of course, just as has been established in this book, she's just in general a really powerful bender, even though maybe some of these guys can bend or not. She's just more powerful than your average bender, and Asami's just an excellent fighter normally. But yeah, some really cool moments here, like this one, just like amazing leap, electrocution, madness. Just a really nice fight scene with the Korra and Asami here. And then the big reveal at the end, obviously, as they kind of run off. Yeah, you're on the wrong side of this fight, and Korra just knows from interacting with the Queen that this guy's right. Just the fact that they say that rather than trying to insult her first is interesting. And yeah, secret prison that not even they know about. Very interesting. And such an interesting character interaction. I never expected, like, Zuko, some of the first characters that he interacts with in the book, to be Eska and Desna. It's just like, what a combination. This scene is hilarious. And yet Unalaq knew about it as well, this prison. It's interesting. And yeah, the reference here to Zuko hiring Combustion Man and then revealing that he tried to kill the Avatar at some point. Tonrock's just like, what? Just and then Eska's just like, hey, yeah, I tried to kill Korra, she ruined my wedding. It happens. It's just like this amazing interaction, like, between these kind of two people who were once fought the Avatar at some point. Eska more in kind of humorous circumstances, just funny. Fighting her cousin. And here we get the reveal of, obviously, Pali, the last member of the Red Lotus, who is revealed to obviously have the same combustion powers as Combustion Man. And like Combustion Man, she's also insanely tall, so there must be something about the ability that maybe runs in some family that's just naturally, like, tall or something like that. It's very interesting just to see that everyone who's had the combustion powers are tall, have some sort of a tattoo on their forehead with the third eye chakra thing, and so on. And yeah, we find out why his father left Bossing Say, because he wants to kind of create a better life for himself, not just live in the lower ring of the city. And from what we saw, the pictures, he seemed to do that, and meeting their mother and stuff like that. So yeah, they left their family on bad. He left the family on bad terms, and now didn't get to see them again. And they're just happy to kind of have the brothers there with them, be reunited again. And yeah, there's just some really nice emotional moments between Mako Bullen and their family. This is definitely one of those highlight kind of like touching moments. And here's the picture. Actually, I think this is the first time we see Mako and Bowen's parents and them younger, apart from Republic City Hustle. It's just really nice. Those family portrait moments in Korra, we had a few of them just really well done. Just a really nice kind of grandma scene, like it works. And then the moment where Mako, I think he just redeemed himself completely in this moment of the fandom. Just this understanding moment, giving Grandma Yin back the one kind of thing that they have remaining of their father to, his mother basically. So really touching moment. Well, very well written and stuff like that. Very real. And yeah, mention of the Dial E is actually pretty interesting, just because, as far as we know, in universe, the last time that we saw the Dial E, they were traitors to the whole Earth Kingdom. They joined sides with Azula. Azula banished them, and we don't know where they went after that. So just the fact that they're back is interesting. That at some point she brought them back. I assume either King Quay created a whole new kind of group of Dial E agents that weren't corrupt, and then maybe she ended up creating that again. And Korra just gets frustrated about how unhelpful she's being. And she just wants Korra to leave, basically. It's an interesting dynamic. Korra knows she's hiding something from her. And yeah, I like that the family actually have information about the Airbenders here. This is a really nice connection between the two plots. That they saw people airbending around them, and they were taken away by the Dial E. So they know there are airbenders in the city now that they're taken away, but because Mako and Bolin are separated from the main group, no one knows what happened. And we find out that Grandma Yin actually loves the Queen and the whole royal family, which continues into Book 4. And it's just interesting. It doesn't really add much to the series. Just the Queen has a fan, and it's Grandma Yin. Yeah, we see Kai stealing from more people, and yeah, with all this mention of the Dial E, you see dark alleys, you know something bad's going to happen. The music is all creepy. Dial E agent in front, behind, to the side. Kai goes to run, but no, we get the Earth gloves, grab him, and yeah, he's taken away. We get another kind of city of walls and secrets, Earth Kingdom, Dial E mystery, evil thing happening, and it's just like, this is so Avatar: The Last Airbender, and yeah, just you basically just they're recruiting airbenders to fight for the Earth Queen, and just to see Kai, who is a likable character, even though he's doing stuff that annoys the rest of our main characters, but still to have him captured is just a really kind of like, whoa, that was a crazy way to end the episode, but really good episode, just really well done. Book 3 continues, its really good run early on, and as I said before, a lot of my problems don't really come into play until the Red Lotus are really like established. All of them are out. The Airbender plot is really in focus. That's, I think, where some of the kind of messiness starts to come in. But right now, it's just really, really solid. But yeah, that's been the commentary. Thanks for listening, and bye.